Hello students and Namaste. Our today's topic is your Standard 9th English Supplementary Reader number 10, The Beggar by Anton Chekov. So already we have completed first part of this chapter where we had seen the introduction and the summary of the chapter, where we had seen that the main character of this chapter is a beggar whose name was Chekov. He lied to the people that he was a school teacher. Then he gave different reasons every time for begging, for getting food for himself, right? So one day he met an advocate whose name was Sergey. So he told him that he was a school teacher, but just before 2 days he had seen him, and when he had met him he had given another reason where he had told that he was a student and who was removed from the school or the college, right? So from the college, so a different reason was given. So the lawyer or the advocate comes to know that he is lying, right? But Chekov agrees to that thing. He accepts that thing, that he had made a mistake. But then he later on tells that he was a part of a choir, a group of people who used to sing, but because of his habit of drinking he was removed from that group, right? So since last 1 year he did not have any kind of job or work, and he did not have even money or to buy the food for himself. So the advocate or the lawyer says that you should not be begging. Instead of that, you should do something that is work. So Chekov says that I want to do work, but who will give me work? So at that time the advocate tells him that you come at my place, will you chop wood for me, right? So Chekov says that I'll chop the wood for you. He takes him at his home. After reaching home, he tells the cook at his place, whose name was Olga, to take him inside to the place where the woods were lying to be chopped off. The cook looks at this fellow, that is Chekov, with disdain or disrespect, shows him the way where the woods were to be chopped, and they both reach over there. And after some time Olga comes and informs the owner or the advocate that the work was done. Then the advocate says that okay, if he wants to come here every month, first day of every month, then he can come over here. We'll give him some or the other kind of work, right? So that thing was to be informed to Chekov. So till there we had discussed in the previous lecture. Today we'll proceed further from page number 64, last paragraph, and complete the whole chapter or the remaining part of the chapter. On the first of the month, the waif, W-A-I-F, waif means a stray person, a person who keeps on moving here and there. So on the first of the month, the waif made his appearance and again earned half a ruble, although he could barely stand on his legs, right? So every month he used to come, but still his condition was very weak. He could hardly stand on his own legs. That means he was still very weak. From that day on, he often appeared in the yard, and every time work was found for him, right? Every time work was found for him. Now he would shovel snow. Shovel means usually it is a tool with a long handle, right, that is used for lifting and throwing dirt, sand, snow, etc., right? So now he was told, because this is a story which belongs to Russia, and again we know that there is extreme cold and snowfall over there. So he was given the work to clean the snow. Now put the woodshed in order. Now beat the dust out of rugs and mattresses. Every time he received from 20 to 40 kopecks. So kopecks I have already explained you, right? What is the meaning of kopecks? It is a smaller unit of money, or we can say rubles, right? I had given you the example of paise and rupees. So rupees we can compare it with ruble, and paise with kopecks. and once even a pair of old trousers were sent out to him. When Sergey moved into another house, he hired him to help in the packing and hauling of the furniture. Right? So when Sergey moved to another house, he hired him. That means he had called him to do work for him. Right? So he hired him to help in the packing and hauling of the furniture. So hauling means to pull or drag with effort. To pull or drag with effort. Okay. This time the wave was sober. So sober here means not affected by alcohol. That means he had stopped drinking alcohol, right? That is sober. So he was sober, gloomy and silent, right? That means he had improved a lot, right? First he was a habitual drunkard. After that, now when he is meeting Sergey, he had stopped drinking alcohol. He hardly touched the furniture and walked behind the wagon. So usually wagon is a kind of we can say a vehicle used to carry or transport goods, right? Hanging his head, not even making a pretense of appearing busy. Pretense means to make others believe. That means he was not even trying to show that he is doing any kind of work. He was just not interested in doing any kind of work, or even he did not try to do or show that he was making efforts or doing some kind of work. That is pretense. Okay, so not even making a pretense of appearing busy. He only shivered in the cold and became embarrassed when the carters jeered at him. Right, so carters jeered means to taunt, or even we can say make rude and mocking remarks, typically in a loud voice. That means to scold or to make fun of other person. That is known as jeered. Okay, why the carters, that means the people who used to transfer or transfer goods from one place to another. So those people are known as carters. So they jeered at him. That means they tried to make fun of him. They taunted him because he was just shivering and not doing any kind of work. Right? Jeered at him for his idleness, his feebleness. Feebleness means that he was still weak. His body was still weak. He was not drinking alcohol. He had stopped drinking alcohol, but still his body was weak enough to do the work. And his tattered, fancy overcoat. After the moving was over, Sergey sent for him. Sergey sent for him means he was called for. That means he called Lushkov. Okay, that means a person was sent and he was told to call Lushkov or bring Lushkov to him. Well, I am happy that my words have taken effect. That means Sergey, he felt that it was just because of him, he had given him work and all these things. There was a change noticed in him. Right? There was a change noticed in him. Him here means Lushkov. Okay. He said, handing him a ruble. Ruble is the currency. Here is for your pains. Pains means the hard work what you have done. Right? So actually Sergey felt that when he had called him, when he had hired him for doing the work, he had actually worked very hard, but he had not seen that he was just standing there ideally and he had not done any kind of thing. Right? So he felt that he had done a lot of hard work and therefore he gave him a ruble. I see you are sober and have no objection to work. What is your name? Right? What is your name? Lushkov. Right? So it was for the first time. Right? Earlier also he had come many times at his home, but it was for the first time he asked him his real name. Then he said Lushkov. Okay, well Lushkov, I can now offer you some other cleaner employment. Right? That means a better kind of work than all this kind of menial or labor work. Can you write? I can. So what Lushkov said? I can. Then take this letter to a friend of mine tomorrow and you will be given some copying to do, right? So what is saying that if you will carry this letter, he had written one letter for Lashkov. What is saying that if you will carry this letter and give it to one of my friend, he will give you work. Okay, work hard, don't drink, and remember what I have said to you. Goodbye. Okay, so by saying goodbye, they both are parting. That means they are Lashkov went away from Sergey. Pleased at having put a man on the right path, Sergey tapped Lashkov kindly on the shoulder. That means Sergey felt that because of his efforts, a person who was drunkard, who did not have any kind of work, who was habitually drinking alcohol, has now become sober because of him, and that is the reason he was very much happy, and then he is kindly means he is tapping the shoulder of Lashkov and even gave him his hand at parting. Lashkov, parting means moving away from each other or separating. Lashkov took the letter, and from that day forth came no more to the yard for work. That means that was for the last time when they both met each other, and from then on he never came to Sergey's house to do the work. 2 years went by. Then one evening, as Sergey was standing at the ticket window of a theatre paying for his seat, he noticed a little man beside him with a coat collar of curly fur. Coat collar with a curly fur. So usually the coats which have a fur in it is worn by people who are having a good or handsome amount of money, right? So it shows the status or reputation, right? So the person was having a coat and its collar had a fur and a worn seal skin cap. Seal, again we all know, we have seen the creature which is known as seal. So from its skin the cap was prepared, that was also worn by him. Okay, this little individual timidly asked the ticket seller for a seat in the gallery and paid for it in copper coins, right? So timidly means shy and nervous, even we can say without much confidence, right? A person without much confidence, right? So word used is timidly. So without much confidence he asked the ticket seller for a seat in the gallery. Right now we are having the system in the theatre where we have gold, silver and platinum seats, but earlier it used to be balcony or gallery, right? So from where the best view of the theatre or the screen can be taken, right? So that was gallery, and the amount was paid in copper coins, which shows that now this fellow, that is Lashkov, he had become rich, or he might be having a good status in the society. Okay, Lashkov, is that you? Who is asking this? Sergey. Cried Sergey, recognizing in the little man his former wood chopper, right? Because earlier when he knew him, he was coming at his place to just chop the wood. How are you? What are you doing? How is everything with you? Right? So after a long 2 years of time, they both were meeting each other, right? And it was totally a surprise for Sergey to see him in such a good condition. So he was surprised as well as excited, and so he started asking him questions. All right, I am a notary now and am paid 35 rubles a month, right? We all know what is notary. So usually if we want to get our documents signed, legal documents, then we need to go to the notary, right? A person who is authorized to do such kind of activity wherein some deeds or contracts need to be signed. So that work is actually done by a notary, right? So I am a notary now and am paid 35 rubles a month, right? So 35 rubles is a very handsome amount of money, because the time or the period when this story is being talked about, right? So we know that when he used to work for him, he was paid kopecks. Kopecks means in paise, right? If we compare it with Indian currency, and 35 ruble is quite a good or handsome amount of money. Next page, that is page number 66. Thank heaven, that's fine. I am delighted for your sake. Delighted for your sake. Your sake means in the interest of your own health and happiness, right? Means I am happy to see you in such a good condition, your health, your happiness, right? I am delighted for your sake. I am very, very glad, Lashkov. You see, you are my godson in a sense. So, godson is usually a boy whom we can say that means who is given a kind of help by some unknown person, right? So, for that person who has given him the help, he is known as godson, right? Usually we have a godfather. You might have come across this word. Godfather means a person who usually even if not having any kind of relation, helps the other person to come ahead in life, to progress in life. So the person who has progressed with the help of the other person, that other person is known as godfather. Okay, so in the same way, the male child who is given the help and who has progressed further is known as godson. I gave you a push along the right path. That means it was what Sergey is feeling, that it was just because of me I gave you a push. That means I helped you out, and because of that there is a change in you. You have changed a lot and you have progressed in your life. Okay. Do you remember what a roasting I gave you? Roasting means to criticize in a harsh way. Okay. So to criticize someone harshly, that is roasting. So what he is saying, that do you remember what a roasting I gave you? That means I scolded you, I treated you in a ill-mannered way, harshly. I nearly had you sinking into the ground at my feet that day. That means usually when someone is scolding us too much, it is a very bad feeling for us. We get embarrassed and we feel smaller and smaller. So that is what he is trying to explain. Alright. So thank you, old man, for not forgetting my words. Right. So what Sergey is saying, thank you, old man, for not forgetting my words. That means I had scolded you, I had guided you, I had told you something and that you considered, and that is because of that thing only you have progressed this way. Thank you too, said Lashkov. So even Lashkov is saying that thank you. If I hadn't come to you, then I might still have been calling myself a teacher or a student to this day. Yes, by flying to your protection, I dragged myself out of a pit. So he is actually trying to say that I was involved in a kind of activity of drinking. I had become a drunkard, and if I had not come in contact of you, then I would have never come out of that thing. I am very glad indeed. That means even Lashkov is saying that I am very glad, I am very happy that I came in contact with you, and that is the reason I am here where I am. Thank you for your kind words and deeds. I am very grateful to you and to your cook. Right. So now Sergey was surprised that why my cook, right? So he is giving the explanation. God bless, Lashkov is still further continuing. What Lashkov is saying, God bless that good and noble woman. You spoke finely then, and I shall be indebted to you to my dying day. That means he said that you spoke very nicely with me, and till the time I am alive, I will be always indebted to you, right? But strictly speaking, that means he is trying to say that if I genuinely tell you why I am over here today, is not because of you, it is just because of the cook, the lady whose name was Olga, and because of her I am over here today. So for that he is saying, it was your cook Olga who saved me, right? So how is that, right? Sergey asked, how is that? He was surprised and shocked. So sorry. So Lashkov is giving explanation. When I used to come to your house to chop wood, she used to begin, "Oh, you sot," S-O-T. Sot means a person who is a habitual drunkard, right? And we know that how the person who is a habitual drunkard, his health, that means he is physically very weak, he is not in his own control, right? So the cook Olga used to say, "Oh, you sot, oh, you miserable creature, there is nothing from you but ruin." That means nothing can happen of you, right? Only what I can see is ruin. That means your life is totally ruined or damaged or destroyed, and in future also I don't see that anything better will happen to you. And then she would sit down opposite me and grow sad. That means Olga used to sit opposite to Lashkov and she used to become sad. Okay. "Look into my face and weep." Weep means she used to cry. "Oh, you unlucky man, there is no pleasure for you in this world, and there will be none in the world to come." That means she is saying, or she is trying to say, that you are the unlucky man on this earth, because there is nothing with you, you don't have anything to enjoy, you don't have anything to become happy, and the way you have dragged yourself into drinking, I don't think so that you will be able to come out of it and your life will improve in future, right? So further what she is saying, "You drunkard, you will burn in hell." That means all this thing is actually criticism done by Olga, negative words told by Olga, right? So but why then to he is thanking Olga? So let us find out. "Oh, you unhappy one," and so she would carry on, in that strain means stress, right? Even she didn't like to use all these words for Lashkov, but she didn't have any kind of option, and out of strain or stress she used to say all these things. "I can't tell you how much misery she suffered, how many tears she shed for my sake." That means she always used to be very sad and she used to keep on crying for my sake. That means for my unfortune, or we can say my fate, that is not good enough. But the chief thing was, she used to chop the wood for me. Now the main reason comes why he was thankful to Olga. So what he is saying, that even though she used to criticize, even though she used to speak bad words or negative words for him, but what main thing she used to do is she used to chop the wood for me. That is what the Lashkov is saying. "Do you know, sir, that I did not chop one single stick of wood for you? She did it all. Why this saved me, why I changed, why I stopped drinking at the sight of her, I cannot explain." That means Lashkov is saying that the gesture what she showed towards me and the kindness which she showed towards me, I cannot describe it in words, that how grateful I am to her, and that is the reason I have changed my attitude and my whole life has changed totally, right? So that is what Lashkov is trying to say. "I only know that owing to her words and noble deeds, a change took place in my heart," right? So deed means a work, good deeds and bad deeds. That means good deed means good kind of work which is helpful to the others. Okay, so it is her words and noble deeds, a change took place in my heart. She set me right and I shall never forget it. That means it is because of her that I have come to the right track or path and my life has totally changed. However, it is time to go now. There goes the bell, right? So usually we know that in the theater there are different timings given, slots given. So once the movie gets over, the people, they'll go out, and after that a bell will ring. That means it is a signal that now the other batch or slot will come inside for the movie. So that bell had already rung. So what Lashkov is saying, that goodbye, now we need to go for a movie. right? So goes the bell, Leshkov bowed and departed to the gallery. That means he left the place for the gallery at the theater, and that is how our chapter comes to an end. So along with this, our lecture also comes to an end. That's it for today. I thank you everyone for listening to me. Stay healthy, stay safe, and take care of yourself. Bye everyone.